don't think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers can be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Under him was Sharon Moore, who also participated in the cheating scandal with Connor Stallions. So you know what happens to him? He doesn't lose his job. He doesn't get a 10-year show cause. He gets to keep his job, and they go, we're just going to suspend you for 2 games next season.
Now, all of a sudden, they're coming out with everything that we knew to be pretty much true when it was happening. Yeah, they were cheating. It was like Belichick and the videotapes, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Steve Kerr coming back. They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star 3 trio is, they can make the guys around them better. They can elevate the way that they play. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half. Steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Hope you had a great weekend and a great Mother's Day. I'm Craig Mish. Plenty to get to on today's show, including some massive games in the National Basketball Association last night. Also, some wild finishes in the NHL Stanley Cup playoff. We'll break it all down for you in the NBA with Steph Noh of Sporting News. We'll also check in on the latest on sports betting. Sam McQuillan will join us courtesy of Legal Sports Report. And also, don't forget the PGA Championship is coming up this week. So lots to recap. Let's get right to it and start off with a very big potential change in the NCAA, which means potentially in the future, maybe as soon as this college football season comes up, that players can still not bet on sports. But it is possible that the coaching staff may be able to bet on professional sports this upcoming season, which is a very big U-turn from where they potentially had it. The NCAA is considering it. The policy change, as been reported by Sports Illustrated, follows a 21-1 vote by the NCAA's Division I Board of Directors in favor of deregulating current prohibition. Now, as of right now, coaches and staff are not able to bet on pro sports. If this changes, they will. It comes from a broader discussion that began in 2023 as the NCAA started reassessing its stance amid growing legalization and acceptance across the country. They're looking to modernize some of their policies, but again, players still would not be allowed to bet on anything, college or pro sports as well, just for staffers. All right, now in the National Basketball Association, don't look now, but the Indiana Pacers are 1 win away from a massive upset in the Eastern Conference. They win again yesterday at home, so they're now up 3-1 in their best-of-7 series against the Cleveland Cavaliers. 129-109, they go up 3-1 in the series. They can close it out this week. The Pacers actually were up 80-39, 41 points at halftime. Donovan Mitchell will have to check on his status for the next game. He banged up his ankle. He didn't play in the second half. But once again, it's been the same story for the Pacers. No one scoring 40 points. No one scoring 30 points. Just a very well-rounded effort, doing it in a number of different ways. Here's Pascal Siakam on some of those ways they got the job done.
Yeah, no, because I think, like we have guys that care at the end of the day. And it's like when we watch film or we look at things that we didn't do well, it's not emotional. It's all about correcting it. It's all about getting better. And the guys know it, and you just have that same understanding that at the end of the day, like we all care about winning, and that's all it is. And if you didn't do well, I have the trust and the confidence that we're going to come back and do better. It doesn't always mean winning, but as long as the effort is there and the things that we do and who we are as a team are there, I take that every single night.
What was the message going into halftime? Obviously, it's a shell-shocking feeling.
Listen, I try to turn positive. Let's, pride, compete, composure, because I didn't want it to be about the referees. It's not about that. So one of our guys to keep our composure, compete with class, right? And then, stay together. That was basically the message.
Now, on the other hand, in the Western Conference, looks like we could have a series going the distance here. Oklahoma City does get their win against Denver yesterday. So they beat the Nuggets 92-87. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 25 points. They had a really rough shooting first half. Both teams did, by the way. All of a sudden, OKC goes up. They end up winning by 5, close on the point spread here as well. And so the series is now tied at 2. And basically, this is the most Oklahoma City has been tested throughout the regular season and the playoffs. SGA after that test, after the game.
Yeah, I think, I said it to Gallo, the series has thrown so many random things at us, things that are unexpected, are out of the norm. And I think we've done a really good job of just accepting where we are and not fraying from who we are and who we've been all season. And I think that's why we got a W tonight and are able to even the series. We've done a really good job of just not wavering from our identity.
Caruso, Wiggins, and Wallace, those shots were the difference. We got up 8 through pure effort and energy, not necessarily playing well. And those guys made a huge impact. And then I thought when we went back to the man-to-man stuff, Shai's tough in the pick and rolls, but we did a decent job on him, but we did not execute offensively. You can't take a 5-second call. There was multiple things that happened there at the end where the game just slowly got away from us. So a lot to learn from. 3-game series now, going down to a building that we know it's tough to play there. We found a way to win down there before. So we'll regroup tomorrow, watch the film, get better for Game 5.
All right, now the Golden State Warriors and Minnesota Timberwolves are in a really interesting series because right now Minnesota's up 2-1 in their best of 7. Now, they played on Saturday, so in the next game, still remains to be seen how the Warriors get this done because Jimmy Butler did his best on Saturday, 33.7 rebounds, 7 assists. In fact, Golden State was up going into the fourth quarter, but Julius Randle has been a nice surprise for Minnesota in this series. He had a triple-double, 24 points, 10 rebounds, 12 assists, and it seems like the offense at this point is running through him, according to head coach Chris Finch.
Yeah, we started playing through Julius a little bit more and got great spacing. And I thought for the first time consistently all game, we actually went somewhere. I thought, we kind of were in each other's way all night long. They were very physical and aggressive on the ball, but I thought, we were able to kind of get better spacing and go somewhere quick with the ball. So.
Jimmy, you guys had a 5-point lead kind of early in the fourth quarter and kind of went bad from there. What did you see happening at the close of the game?
We probably just didn't get the shots that we wanted to get and turn the ball over a few times, didn't get back. Didn't contest shots, didn't take the 3 out the game, and then that was it.
I think right now, the other series that definitely is in question are the Knicks and Celtics, because the Knicks go on the road to win the first 2 games in Boston, and then Boston does what they usually do, which is make a series out of it and come back and win. That was the case on Saturday. We'll see if the Knicks can respond tonight. Celtics beat them 115-93 on Saturday, and so the Knicks still lead the series 2-1. They're big underdogs again. Jason Tatum, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Peyton Pritchard, nice surprise for Boston. He had 23 points, 5 or 10 from 3, and the Celtics finally got their 3-pointers to crash. 20 from 40 from 3-point range. They led by as much as 31 points, and Jaylen Brown said the offense came through.
That's the playoffs. all the work you put in all year adds up to these moments. So this is the most important time of the year. It's the most important thing for all of us. So, and it's not going in our direction. We don't complain. We gotta find ways to win, dig deep, stay together as a group, and come out and perform. I think tonight we did a much better job of just playing 48 minutes. Yeah, you got to beat us 4 times. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Not twice, not once, not 3. You got to win 4 games. So it's a lot of basketball to be played.
I don't think we came with the mindset of being satisfied, but I think it was just subconsciously satisfied being up 2-0. But it's not the way we need to approach the game.
Big news out of the National Football League over the weekend, in case you missed it. No, not the schedule. We'll get to that later. Derek Carr announced his retirement as quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, foregoing the remainder of his contract. Carr had a shoulder issue and basically has decided to hang him up. Career over. Major League Baseball, worst record in the game. Colorado Rockies fired their manager, Bud Black, and bench coach Mike Redmond. As of now, the Rockies are on pace to have the worst season in the history of baseball. The Panthers have tied up their series with the Toronto Maple Leafs 2 apiece. Mikko Rantanen had a goal and 2 assists for the Stars. They take a 2-1 series lead over the Jets. Riley Smith scored with 0.4 seconds left. The Golden Knights beat the Oilers yesterday 4-3 in Game 1. We'll be right back.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Dr. Dre said at one time here, James Wood, always up to no good, man. I like a couple players in that lineup, and on a day-to-day basis can really get after it. Again, playing good baseball, 15-19 overall. We'll see how they pursue.
The Reds are a really fun team. We're going to talk about them a ton, and I don't think they'll compete for a wild card. But again, they're a team like the Nats where they're going to give other teams trouble at times, and they can't overlook that matchup. Cubs win the division, as we all expected.
Pro baseball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Steve Kerr coming back. They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star trio is, they can make the guys around them better. They can elevate the way that they play. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
NewsWire. Only on SportsGrid.
For the latest on the NBA playoffs, let's bring in Steph Noh from Sporting News to break it all down, especially with the big surprise going on right now between the Cleveland Cavaliers and Indiana Pacers. Steph, thanks for coming on the show. My gosh, Indiana, I mean, they've been legit. I mean, throughout the regular season, throughout the playoffs, still underdogs at home, on the road, and all of these games. It's time for people to start understanding that this is a legitimate team that has a chance not only to win the series against Cleveland, but also maybe to even go all the way to the NBA Finals. They're playing great basketball.
I totally agree. I mean, you could not come to any other conclusion after watching the game last night. I think a lot of the focus has been on why the Cavs have not played particularly well. A lot of that is due to injury, of course, but I think that's taking too much credit away from what the Pacers have done. They were not a good defensive team last year. That has been the big change this season. They've been defending at an extremely high level. And in addition to that, they had some really good coaching tweaks to adjust to the Cavs 3-2 zone, which was giving them problems in the previous game. So just all around, like a very, very impressive effort from the Pacers. And you're totally right that I think that we were too low on them as a collective this whole time.
Yeah, I mean, Tyrese Halliburton only 11 points yesterday, but Siakam with 21, Turner with 20, Obi Toppin with 20, just a really balanced attack at this point. Let's take a look at the odds to win the series. Right now, Indiana's a heavy favorite, minus 320. Steph, do you think that there is still a door for Cleveland to get back into this at plus 260 right now? I mean, would you go out on the limb there? I mean, I feel like now that the series goes back to Cleveland, I think they'll take care of business, but, I don't know. Winning 3 games in a row doesn't seem feasible.
A lot of that, as I said, is going to depend on health. Donovan Mitchell did not play the second half of last night's game due to an ankle issue. So once we learn more about that, I think we'll be able to tell more definitively. And then Darius Garland, he's missed a lot of the playoffs with this toe injury. He's tried to gut it out. I don't think he's really looked that great. He was okay when he first came back from that injury, but I think he tweaked it in one of the games, and it just is hampering him quite a bit. So without full health, also DeAndre Hunter is dealing with this hand injury. It's just tough to see them pulling this out after this 3-1 deficit.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, so now let's move over to the next series, which really could take a big turn tonight, depending on the way things go. Boston eventually was going to get hot. They did in the last game, Steph. Tonight, they're 6.5-point favorites at New York after just throttling the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. 3-pointers were the deal. I mean, Tatum hit 5, Pritchard with 5, and then White, Horford, and Brown had 3 apiece. And so we knew this was going to happen. But Steph, why am I a little skeptical here of Boston? Why do I feel like this is a big number tonight, and maybe the Knicks either win or cover this one? I don't know. I feel like they have a chance to win the series. It's going to be close, but can they do it tonight?
Well, you're skeptical of Boston because you've been watching any of their games over the past 2 years. I mean, they have not been impressive. Even like during their championship run last year, they had more trouble than they probably should have. And I think that, again, that's like a reflection of the style they play, where they just shoot so many threes. On nights where they're hot, they're going to blow teams out. On nights where they're cold, they're going to look really, really bad. And in game 1, Jason Tatum took 14 pull-up threes. I think he made, I want to say, 4 of them. And that shot is not a great shot for Tatum. I mean, he only hit 32% of those during the regular season. He settles for that shot too much, but when it's going in, it looks awesome. So I think the Celtics definitely have a talent advantage here. It's just a matter of, is that 3 ball going to be falling for them on any given night?
Yeah, and that's definitely been the case. All right, so Steph, Denver and Oklahoma City. Dare I say, should we just check back in Game 7? Because it feels like that's where we're headed here at this point. They're just trading body blows. Last night Oklahoma City got the better of Denver, but by the way, Denver played well in this game too. So it seems like they're just very evenly matched. OKC wins last night. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has a nice game, 25 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. But the odds makers, I want to show you this, Steph. The odds makers are saying that the Nuggets have no shot to win this series. They are plus 460 on the FanDuel Sportsbook, plus 460. So what am I missing here? I mean, does OKC just now win the next 2, and that's the way that this goes? Why is this line what it is?
That's surprising to me too. I mean, I think that might be a reflection of, the games that the Nuggets have won. They've really grinded it out, and then, the Thunder have blown the Nuggets out. And one of those games, that Nuggets defense, the Thunder defense, I think the most surprising part of this series is how much trouble they've given Nikola Jokic, because we've seen Jokic over the past couple years have every single type of defensive coverage thrown at him, every type of defender, and he has dominated everybody. But for whatever reason in this series, I think Isaiah Hartenstein has done a really good job, just the size that he has, and Chet Holmgren also being there as a roamer to help contest some of those shots. I mean, we've seen that strategy before, though, with the Lakers, and that hasn't worked with them with Anthony Davis. So it's just, I think that the odds makers are just thinking that maybe the Thunder figured something out against Jokic. And if that's the case, I mean, he drives so much of what that team does. If you can slow him down, then they're basically cooked.
Now, the Golden State Warriors, Steph, I mean, this is the only series that I feel is over. Maybe you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know. I just think that without Steph Curry playing, I just don't see a path here. They're going to play tonight. He's not going to play. Minnesota's, a pretty big favorite here on the road. And I do think, Steph, if they win this tonight, I think it's pretty much a wrap unless there's some, look, we've seen this before in sports, miracle healing, Mr. Miyagi's out there healing somebody and then they end up playing in the next game, but it's not going to happen tonight, is it?
So I think the earliest that we can expect Steph Curry back is game 6. The Warriors just need to win one game with him out. And that's kind of like a big ask because they've looked like they can't score the ball at all. And I mean, everybody could have told you that. Steph Curry is what drives their offense. So what they need in order to compete here, they need another huge game from Jonathan Kuminga, who wasn't even in the rotation. But the one thing that he does bring, scoring. They need Jimmy Butler to keep on doing what he's been doing. He's been playing very well. Even with those two things, and Buddy Hield is always liable to go off for a bunch of threes. Even if they get all those things, though, I mean, it's still going to be pretty dicey for them to take one more win off this Wolves team.
Yeah, would agree. By the way, Steph, I'm sure you saw this report. And by the way, Shams is a fantastic reporter, but a report about Giannis. You think he stays or goes?
I think he goes. I mean, they just don't have a way to build around him, and he wants another championship because he's in his prime. I think he gets moved at some time.
We'll be right back.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Dr. Dre said at one time here, James Wood, always up to no good, man. I like a couple players in that lineup, and on a day-to-day basis can really get after it. Again, playing good baseball, 15-19 overall. We'll see how they pursue.
The Reds. Reds are a really fun team. Reds are, we're going to talk about them a ton, and I don't think they'll compete for a wild card. But again, they're a team like the Nats where they're going to give other teams trouble at times, and they can't overlook that matchup. Cubs win the division, as we all expected.
Pro baseball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Steve Kerr coming back. They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star trio is, they can make the guys around them better, and they can elevate the way that they play. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
NewsWire. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, lots of news in the NFL, and you can't say that every week in May, but we've got the schedule coming out, and some things have been revealed. We'll get to that, and also a pretty significant player ends up calling it quits. Let's get the latest from Adam Caplan, our SportsGrid NFL insider. Adam, great to have you back here on NewsWire. So, a few months ago, those little clouds over Derek Carr's shoulder were sort of percolating a little bit, and I guess what I would ask you is this, just to keep it real here. Did Derek Carr truly feel like this was the end of the line with him, or did he just not want to go through a rebuild with the Saints? Which one do you think it is?
Yeah, I think it's actually the shoulder and the long-term effects of it, and having a major shoulder surgery, knocking him out for the season, and then having to rehab. But then it adds what you just said about where's this team going. You have to look at the staff would be inheriting him. Kellen Moore was not his original coach here with the Saints, so things have changed here. And they've been kind of a revolving door, just personnel-wise. You have a new coaching staff. They've been. I've used the term they've been stuck in neutral for a while, and they want to figure it out. They took Tyler Shuck in the second round, which is kind of where I thought he would go, not to that team, but in the second round. But he's an older quarterback, and he's a guy that's been to a number of schools. He's had a number of injuries, but it's very talented. But they like to know what the future looks at quarterback, and you got to start with Shuck, his second-round pick.
Yeah, and look, I think that it's unfortunate for the fans in New Orleans, but Adam, teams are going to go through rebuilds, and teams are going to win 2 and 3 games in a season. The Saints haven't been through one of these in a long time. I think Cleveland may be the other team that's sort of going to fight with them for worst team in the NFL. But I mean, how many times, Adam, in the last 5 years, can the Saints open up the season thinking, "Oh, we could go 9-7, we could go 8-8, we can go 9-7"? Like, enough is enough already. It's either be good or be bad, right?
So, Craig, they open up 2-0, right? Clint Kubiak was the OC.
Right.
He's now in Seattle. And they were setting NFL records until they played Vic Fangio and the Eagles defense, who put in a new front to stop their zone scheme. And they were never the same since then. And quite frankly, when you look at it, you just talked about them. You're thinking they'd be better than they really were. They're a team that refuses to cut veteran players. They keep kicking the can down the road here. They always have salary cap problems, which should never happen, Craig, because we're looking at a record number of cap space for teams.
Yes, true.
And they're a team that keeps kicking that can down the road. They refuse to cut these guys who are in their older 30s or late 20s, early 30s, or near the end of their careers, and they just keep trying to run it back, and they're not good. Now, you bring up a fair point, and that's why I call them stuck in neutral. They're right in the middle. That's really what they are. No matter what they get out of Shuck, it's hard to imagine. I know it's not a great division, but it's hard to imagine they're a playoff team because the roster simply is not good enough.
No, and their season win total will be the lowest on the board, if not for Cleveland. So, I mean, I'm no optimism there, which is fine, by the way. Every once in a while, it just happens in sports like this. Okay, so many people on social media. Oh my gosh, why did the NFL not put Washington against Philadelphia on opening night? Why? By the way, for those of you who are not familiar, it has been leaked that the opener in the NFL season, September 4th, will be Cowboys and Eagles. I mean, Adam, do they have to be that stupid? I mean, you could put the Cowboys on 2-15, and they're going to get better ratings in Washington. Like, I mean, enough already. Do people not understand the Cowboys are a draw, period, end of story?
All right. Let me explain a couple things here from a league standpoint, because I've sat in a number of these calls. They have a media call every year. Mike North and his group, and they do a great job explaining. First of all, the Eagles are what we call, Craig, a national team. And there aren't a lot of them. They're teams that they know have a sort of a broad reach around the National Football League and across our country, right? So they know they're going to get good ratings with them, and obviously they just won the Super Bowl. They've been in 3 Super Bowls in the last 8 years, won 2 of them. Then you have the number one draw in sports other than maybe the Yankees, and they are America's team. And you're right. If they're really bad, they're still going to get a draw. Now, you've got the George Pickens trade, which happened, by the way, since you and I last talked.
True.
Last Monday. So that's happened. And there's going to be an excitement there. Brian Schottenheimer, son of the late, great Marty Schottenheimer. Brian's first time being head coach. He's going to call the plays as I understand it. By the way, he's going to be very aggressive. He believes in data and analytics, I'm told. So that's a team that I think is going to be fun to watch. But being from this market, Craig, this is by far our number one rival in terms of sports. We've got Eagles, Cowboys 1, Celtics, Sixers. Now, they were right up there, but because it's hard to get both teams being elite at the same time, they're number 2. Right. Phillies, Mets, probably 3. I know some Philly fans might disagree with me, but by far, Craig, it's Eagles, Cowboys in this market.
By the way, before we wrap it up, are the Dolphins playing somewhere overseas strange this year? Did I see that over the weekend?
Yeah, I didn't see that one leak. But when the NFL, it's interesting. When the NFL announces the Cowboys Eagles on the Today Show, it's a big deal. There's no question about it.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, I think it was is it not Brazil maybe or somewhere else? I don't know. All right.
That would be the Friday night game.
Thanks, Adam, for coming on. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You don't think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers can be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Under him was Sharon Moore, who also participated in the cheating scandal with Connor Stallions. So you know what happens to him? He doesn't lose his job. He doesn't get a 10-year show cause. He gets to keep his job, and they go, we're just going to suspend you for 2 games next season.
Now, all of a sudden, they're coming out with everything that we knew to be pretty much true when it was happening. Yeah, they were cheating. It was like Belichick and the videotapes, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Steve Kerr coming back. They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star trio is, they can make the guys around them better, and they can elevate the way that they play. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
All right, we've got Sam McQuillan from Legal Sports Report. He's coming on our show now, but tonight you don't want to text him or call him or bother him because tonight he'll be watching, of course, one of the more compelling NBA series between the Boston Celtics and New York Knicks as they play Game 4 tonight at Madison Square Garden. But Sam, great to have you back here on NewsWire, and let's get right into it here. Okay, so, March Madness has come and gone. Now the sports books, they love to say that they're going to do amazing over the next few months, but let's be honest, they take a little bit of a breath before the football season with the end of the NBA and the NHL coming. But if you are a shareholder or if you are part of the DraftKings organization, seems like you have a lot to smile about today.
Yeah, it's interesting that we're talking about a positive for DraftKings after you mentioned March Madness, which, you just can't talk about enough how crazy it was for the sports books. Came after a really tough NFL season. You had the higher seeds won at an 82% rate. And that caused companies like DraftKings to have to cut the amount of guidance they're suggesting for the entire year. DraftKings cut it by more than $100 million from these customer-friendly sports outcomes. But despite that, they did have their most profitable quarter ever, which is really interesting. When you're talking about losing a lot of sports outcomes, you're trying to think of how they're going to make money while they are getting hit with the higher seeds winning. For DraftKings, it was all about improving their margins, cutting down their promo spending. They have not been as generous with those, like you mentioned, Craig. Maybe taking a breath before some of the bigger competition during football season. So that helped them offset about $170 million that they took from unfavorable sports results. That's kind of the results coming in lower than expectations. And Wall Street was, pretty confident in what they heard. The stock is up now, which you always want to look at how the market is going to react to this kind of news. Another big highlight for DraftKings has been live betting, which is something we've talked about being on the back burner a little bit for these companies right now. But this was the first quarter where there was actually more handle bet live than it was pre-match for a company like DraftKings. Overseas, that is very much the case, but in the US, that has not been the case yet. So they're seeing some good returns there from that product, which encourages higher margins. Customers are less likely to win on live bets. They're also more likely to reinvest their money with a sportsbook if they win and not deposit it and stay engaged, which is what they want you to do. So that's another really big path forward for DraftKings. Part of their vision there is getting people to live bet better, and that takes a lot of technological advancements. decreasing the latency time and just making the experience better overall for customers there, so they can feel more comfortable with it. So another pretty solid quarter for DraftKings, all things considered, when you talk about the sports results. And going into the next quarter, now they're going to be trying to do some more of the same, expanding it to Major League Baseball and having that be a real focus before football season gets underway. And we're really in the crunch of things.
And speaking of which, ESPN Bet, maybe on the flip side, really sort of needs to have a really good footprint on the football season as far as sports betting is concerned. Trying a lot of different things, as we've seen, Sam. A lot of talking, a lot of advertising, a lot of we're going to do this, we're going to change this, we're going to do that. I mean, but the numbers are going to tell the story. It seems to me from reading this story over at Legal Sports Report that, which is, to me a little interesting here, but a little strange, to be honest, is that ESPN Bet is trying to grab the fantasy football users and get them to bet on sports. But I mean, we got to be honest with you here, Sam. Those are two very different crowds, season-long fantasy football players and people who bet.
Yeah, Penn is definitely rolling the dice here, hoping that they'll be able to convert these customers, keep them, retain them. This is something they talked about, almost 2 years ago when Penn and ESPN did this $3 billion deal. We're going to have a future where everybody on the ESPN fantasy platform is getting custom bets that are tailored to the people they draft. If you're deciding which quarterback to start, you're going to have prop bets that show up, and it's all going to be in the same place. ESPN fantasy football has the highest user base in fantasy, but Penn has not been able to convert them over to sports bettors that they've been able to keep. And a big part of that is they're saying is just not having the integrations right, not having the technology right, something that they've talked about, to your point, Craig, for a long time and just not had. So now they're confident here that they're going to have it going into football season. Users will be able to link their fantasy teams directly to the ESPN Bet account. Penn's hoping that's going to allow players to just move seamlessly between the ecosystems better and encourage them to stay on one app to make it easier to bet, as opposed to having to go elsewhere like a FanDuel or DraftKings, where you're not going to have that experience. And we'll see what comes out as far as the tailored bets, whether that is actually going to get people to want to bet, make these specific bets more. But again, this is a $3 billion deal that was signed almost 2 years ago. They have not hit their market share goals really at all. We've heard Penn be more vocal lately about potentially a future without ESPN. There's a proxy fight going on in the background amid all this and a lawsuit tied to it. So it's really getting to be crunch time for them. They've been rolling out features more and more in this kind of slow period we have ahead of football season. So once September hits, once August hits, we'll see if all of this is actually going to be used by people and helping. If it's not, then it's really going to be an alarm time for Penn to try to figure out sort of what's next here. They're also going to be banking on ESPN's new direct-to-consumer streaming platform, which we've heard a lot about. It's going to debut in the fall. We don't really know what it's all going to entail. It's been a huge thing for Disney, and they've kind of kept a little bit of under wraps as far as what it's actually going to be. A lot of people have been wondering how it's going to impact betting. We don't really have any news there, but they say there's going to be big news eventually closer to the date. So a lot of big things on the horizon for Penn. They're hoping to kind of figure it all out and hoping that Q3 goes better than Q2 as they roll out more and more features and hope people stay on their platform.
Yeah, hanging on until the start of football season in college, August, and pro in September. Okay, so the companies that are doing very well are all the data companies, and certainly it makes a lot of sense here because everybody's looking for that. Genius Sports being one that is very popular in the industry. BetVision, the parent company, talking about what the future may hold. I believe they're talking about maybe potentially finding a buyer for this. Is that correct?
It could be. They're definitely open to buyers for this product, but I think in the meantime, they're going to keep trying to expand BetVision more and more because they're seeing some really great returns from it. This is the interface when you go into a sports book, you're able to, it started on NFL games last year, watch the game essentially in a sports book, and you have live data, live bets pop up, more and more engagement, more and more interface for people to just kind of bolster their whole sports betting experience. So they already had it for NFL. They're now doing it for international soccer, which is big, not just only because it's getting to be a new sport, but NFL, there's only about 280 games a year. International soccer is about 18,000. So it just brings more volume to this platform, which they're already seeing having really good returns with their sportsbook customers. Are going to continue to invest in it more and more, try to cut down on that time between when you're actually placing a bet and when it gets through. And it's a huge step for just how we watch sports, where we're talking about a future where maybe you're going to be able to see this on a broadcast someday. Maybe it's not just a sports betting company that buys this. Maybe it's one of these big companies that has been getting into these new broadcast deals to try to bolster their experience. And it does drive live betting engagement up about 300%, which we talked about before being a much higher margin bet for the sports book. So the more you keep customers engaged, the more betting stats you give them, they seem to want it and they seem to be betting it more. And it seems to be a better return for the sports book. So they're going to roll it out for soccer just in a week. And then they say once that is underway, they're going to have basketball as well. So adding just a lot more of events here with BetVision, which has been very profitable for them so far. And yes, keeping the door open for some buyers in case that happens. And I think we could see that not just on the sports betting front, but potentially in the tech or media world as well.
Sam, always great to catch up with you. Hope your Knicks can at least make this a game tonight. I would assume they will. Thanks again for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg. You too.
All right, well, we'll see. 6.5 is the spread. Coach Young is going to give us his pick coming up in just a couple of minutes. Also, tonight, we'll find out where Cooper Flagg is going to go in the NBA, because tonight is the draft lottery. In fact, the Washington Wizards, Utah Jazz, those two teams, it feels like one of those two probably going to get the first overall pick. And also NBC Sports making an interesting announcement, kind of out of nowhere, a little surprising, that Michael Jordan is going to be involved in their broadcast for the next season in the NBA. Didn't see that one coming. Certainly doesn't need the money. Coach Young doesn't need it either. Or does he? I don't know. We'll find out next.
You don't think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers could be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Under him was Sharon Moore, who also participated in the cheating scandal with Connor Stallions. So you know what happens to him? He doesn't lose his job. He doesn't get a 10-year show cause. He gets to keep his job, and they go, we're just going to suspend you for 2 games next season.
Now, all of a sudden, they're coming out with everything that we knew to be pretty much true when it was happening. Yeah, they were cheating. It was like Belichick and the videotapes, right?
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Steve Kerr coming back. They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star 3 trio is, they can make the guys around them better. They can elevate the way that they play. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. At the end of this week, we'll have the fate as to who heads to the Eastern and Western Conference Finals in the NBA. And, you know, that decision could be made tonight if the New York Knicks can get their act together at home. Let's bring in Coach James Young to break it all down. Coach, the odds makers are telling us Boston is going to win tonight. They're 6.5-point favorites, total of 208.5. I'm not buying this one, by the way. I think the Knicks have a shot, but Coach, I guess to expand the conversation is 1, can they win? Can they cover? I'll just use that together. And 2, if the Knicks don't win this game tonight? Is it now Boston's series to lose?
Well, listen, Craig, great to be on with you always. And not all games and all wins are the same. I think the concern with the Knicks is the fact that they've been blown out in all 3 games in the first half. Now, they got 2 of them. They come roaring back down 20 in the second half, but you can't lean on that if you're New York again. So I'm going to preface this like this, folks. If the Knicks are in this game, I'm going to say down by 7 points or less at the break, and they're down by that going to the fourth, they'll find a way to steal it because they'll lean on the Garden crowd, and they got the best closer in the game in Jalen Brunson. If they get blown out like they did in Game 3, they're not going to come back because Boston's going to do a better job of mixing up what they do. It's simple as that. New York's offense has to be better. Cat has to be better. Brunson, is hot and cold, but he's even started out slow. OG Anunoby made no shots last game. Mikal Bridges didn't score until the fourth quarter of Game 2. So if you're New York, your defense is hanging around, although you gave up a ton of threes last game. Your offense is the key. You must start better and you stay close. But that being said, honestly, Boston minus the 3.5 in the first half. If the Knicks keep it close, Knicks are going to steal it in the end.
All right, so the Celtics' key is the 3-point shot. I mean, there's just really nothing else to say, Coach, at this point. And the odds makers certainly have set some pretty high lines here for the Celtics making threes as if they're just going to do what they did last game and not the 2 games before. Tatum is at 3.5, Brown 1.5, Derek White, no stranger to 4. He's at 3.5, Horford 1.5, and Drew Holiday 1.5. So look, I'm not going to ask you to handicap all of these, Coach. Is there 1 or 2 that you like, either over or under?
I think it's the last 2 in regards to Horford and Holiday, particularly the fact that, you get that pick and pop action of Al Horford. And Drew Holiday can be a guy that can be left open because you're going to worry about the other guys. Listen, folks, Celtics shot 12 out of 19 from 3 in the first half of game number 3. So are they the 25 for 100 the first 2 games, or are they the 12 out of 19 that they were in game number 3? They're somewhere in the middle. So to me, some of these lines, people are just expecting Boston to just blow this thing open. I wouldn't be so sure. I think the Knicks play better. And listen, the Knicks are going to be in play here. Like I said, the longer they keep this a game, the more the Celtics are going to tighten up. Remember, folks, games 1 and game 2, Tatum and Brown shot a combined 2 for 19 from the floor, and they seem to not get Bridges and Anunoby in foul trouble. If they stay, these guys stay out of foul trouble, and the Knicks are in the game, I'm telling you, they're going to find a way to steal it.
All right, fair enough. And by the way, total amount of games in the series, that's really the only thing that I would ask you as we close this out here, because it's about even if you think about it. If it goes 7 games, it's, more or less even, plus 106. Look at this number, though, under 6.5. It's like you could think of this in 2 different ways, Coach. Like Knicks win tonight, close it out in 5. Celtics win tonight, close it out in 6. Really, really fascinating that you could see both sides of it.
Yeah, you really can. But here's where I'm going to kind of push it into the middle. I think this goes exactly 6 games, which is at plus 102 on FanDuel. Here is why. If the Knicks find a way to win tonight, I think Boston will hold serve game 5. Knicks will win it in 6. If the Knicks get rolled tonight, they're just going to get rolled the rest of the series. To me, the better play is 6 games, no matter what, at plus 102.
I love it. Great call there. All right, so you and I were on the same page with this series even before Steph Curry got hurt. Can you sell me on the Warriors winning another game, honestly, in this series? It feels like Minnesota's got this. They're 5.5-point favorites tonight on the road. I mean, that's a huge number for a team that really just hasn't even been here in decades. Total 200.5. I mean, what's really alarming to me, Coach, is Jimmy Butler had the best game he possibly could have in the last game, and it didn't even matter. So I don't know. I mean, could Kuminga come up big tonight with Butler? I just don't see a path.
Well, think about this. He got outscored by 9 points in the fourth quarter at home in a big game, and Jimmy Butler shot 1 of 7 from the floor. It's the size advantage and the ability of how you defend Gobert, Randall, and obviously Jaden McDaniels. But then you have to deal with Naz Reid and even Alexander Walker coming off the bench and Dante DiVincenzo. There's too many dudes on that other side. And honestly, Craig, I don't even think Minnesota is playing well offensively in this
Yeah,
series. When you look at Golden State, it's simple as this, folks. It's Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga. Those are the only two guys that can go get a bucket. Who's the third guy? Is it Pozinski? Is it Buddy Hield? Well, Buddy needs someone to create for him. Same thing with Pozinski. Can Draymond become more of a scorer than a facilitator? That's the problem. They need him to facilitate. So you see where I'm going, Craig? There's not that third guy. I think I said it 5 games or 6 games, Matt. I think I said 5 games before Steph got hurt. I'm not changing it at all. This series is done. I mean, it's done. When they lost that fourth quarter lead, they lost the series. It's over, and it's going to force Steve Kerr into a predicament. And do you try and force Steph to say, season's on the line, Steph, we're down 3-1, like, we need you to come back? Because if they think they're going to wait for that 3-day break to play game number 6, they're going to not get there. They don't have the horses. Best bet on the board, under 97.5 points for Golden State, 99 game 1 with Steph, 2 other games under it. They go under 97.5. They can't score.
We got a minute to go. Can either of the dogs cover or win tomorrow night? Cavs against the Pacers. Pacers getting 7. Thunder 10.5 over the Denver Nuggets. Can either pull it together?
No, I think neither can pull together. If you want to say maybe one over the other, I actually would say Denver will probably do it because of the fact that they just got to get Nikola Jokic to play better at the same time with the other 2 guys.
All right, Coach. We'll catch you on In Game Live. Thanks again for coming on.
Thanks.
We'll wrap it up next.
Knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Steve Kerr coming back. They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star trio is, they can make the guys around them better. They can elevate the way that they play. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
NewsWire. Only on SportsGrid.
Under him was Sharon Moore, who also participated in the cheating scandal with Connor Stallions. So you know what happens to him? He doesn't lose his job. He doesn't get a 10-year show cause. He gets to keep his job, and they go, we're just going to suspend you for 2 games next season.
Now, all of a sudden, they're coming out with everything that we knew to be pretty much true when it was happening. Yeah, they were cheating. It was like Belichick and the videotapes, right?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Big day in the NFL coming up tomorrow. I know we love to play this game. If you wouldn't mind, I want to explain something real quick before we get to last licks. Is that tomorrow officially is my least favorite day of the NFL offseason. And you know why? I talked about this on Saturday on Fantasy Sports Today. Because all we do is play the that's a win, that's a loss game. No one knows anything. How could we possibly do that? But yet, we're going to do that here on SportsGrid. I'm begging people on our network not to do that. Do something else. Time now for some last licks. Well, the more and more days go by, the more and more we learn more about the new Pope, Pope Leo, right? Pope Leo was actually at a Chicago White Sox World Series game and shown on TV in the crowd. Did you see that over the weekend? We're learning a lot about him. But Pope Leo also is a big fan, apparently, of hoops, especially Villanova. And he's also taken an interest in the Nova Knicks and says that it's likely that he will follow his teams while he serves as the Pope. A huge sports fan, I guess, is the new Pope. Now, I guess the question is, how did he go from being a Chicago sports fan to a New York sports fan? And how did he end up a White Sox fan and not a Cubs fan? The Cubs are claiming him too, by the way. Very odd sort of story going on. But, look, this is what happened. Yeah, remember last week on the show, we said that you could actually bet on the Pope. This time around, we could just bet on which teams he'll be following as he takes over. Okay, so this was really interesting and fun over the weekend. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, maybe you're not big baseball fans, the Tampa Bay Rays call Tropicana Field home. This season, they could not call it home because of the hurricane that went through on the west coast of Florida. So instead, they're playing at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, otherwise used to be known as Legends Field. And they scheduled a lot of their home games for April and May. In fact, they have more home games than any other team in Major League Baseball in the Tampa Bay area because, if you live in Florida today, you know what's coming. The end of May, the end of June, July, August, tons of rain in our state. Can't get away from it. Today, it's like raining nonstop. Tomorrow, rain, and it hasn't rained in a long time, by the way, here. But it's the summer months. They're coming, late spring, summer. So the Rays, really cool moment this weekend. They handed out ponchos to fans because they did get a rain delay. And by the way, what it did mark was the first ever rain delay for the Tampa Bay Rays, because for almost 30 years, they have been playing in Tropicana Field, which has a dome. But instead, they're playing outside. So it was the first ever rain delay, 27 years of their existence. And they gave that out, as you can see, a Rays commemorative poncho for being involved in the first ever rain delay for the Tampa Bay Rays. So I thought that was really a good idea and kind of funny as well. They're going to get more rain delays, unfortunately. I hate to say, this is just rain in Florida, man. I mean, by the way, December, January, February, March, April, we got the best weather ever here in Florida. Once we get out of April, we get into May around Memorial Day, and then throughout the summer, not the best. Okay, this is the best. Yesterday on Mother's Day, two brothers in Major League Baseball facing off against each other. Josh and Jace Young facing off as the seventh pair of brothers in the last 45 years to face off on Mother's Day using the pink bats. We saw this yesterday. It was really cool. And by the way, side story to this, over the weekend, they were playing tic-tac-toe at third base. So they both play third. So one of them takes the field. They put an O. The other one, they take an X. Really cool story here. By the way, did everybody have a great Mother's Day yesterday? I certainly hope everybody did out there who was watching. Hope you did the right thing. Now, don't forget, coming up in a month from now, we got Father's Day in June. So that's the next big holiday for you. Actually, our next big holiday, I think, is Memorial Day, as a matter of fact. I think that actually we're not on the air that day. I got to double check on that. You know who is on the air coming up next? It's Smiley Kaufman. And the PGA Championship is this week, and we're going to have full previews with Brady Cannon. Throughout the week, we will let you know who is going to win the big event. It's the next major on the PGA Tour. In fact, starting Wednesday, we'll make sure we get that done for you. But Pharrell Coast to Coast, he's got the latest on tonight's two big games in the NBA. That's 3 to 6. And then our brand new show that we have on, doing a great job, is Front Office Sports. That's 6 to 6:30. That's followed by Game Time Decisions at 6:30, taking you all the way through 8 o'clock Eastern. And then the game between the Knicks and Celtics begins before the nightcap out west. Then we have in-game live game day. And then 10 p.m. Eastern, we have Sports Rage tonight. Thanks to our guests. Of course, we had Steph Noh on the program, also Adam Caplan. And thanks to Coach Young for coming on as well, and Sam McQuillan from Legal Sports Report. For our director, Luke, and for my producer, Frank, I'm Craig Mish. Hope that you enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another day in the NBA and NHL playoffs. Have a great night, everyone. See you then.